Welcome, everybody. It's TRB Live. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday evening. If you are with us live in the chat, thank you so much. We are so happy to have you. Just so you know, no Ask the Resistance tonight. We're doing Resistance transmission, so if you sent one in, you might be on the show. Little shout out. Anyway, I'm John. This is Lacey, and we are here to talk to you about Star Wars. And we got some Star Wars news to get into, some information on the next show, Skeleton Crew.
It was a close one. We thought we wouldn't have anything to talk about today.
We were
very close. We were very close to just being like D23.
Yeah, I mean, we still are doing D23.
Yes, but in addition to actual news. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, we had one with the Force lined up, but Baze Malbus will have to wait until we return. Which reminds me, Lacey, sometimes things just work out, and your family and my family planned our family vacations during the same week. So
that wasn't even on purpose, too. That's the crazy thing. Yeah, it just happened that way.
So next week, no TRB. We're taking the week off, and we'll be back the following week, which will be after D23, which is why today's the day for all the booms, bangs, and all the predictions about what might happen at D23. Because Lucasfilm, a little quiet at San Diego Comic-Con. They got the book panel.
They were very quiet.
But Marvel threw all the haymakers and owned that weekend. So now maybe Star Wars gets a bit of a spotlight. And we're very close. I think D23 is like 10 days away. So
yeah, and if people want to hear our thoughts on San Diego Comic-Con, you can head over to Nerdy and Nice, where we did both San Diego Comic-Con reactions and other things like our Deadpool and Wolverine review.
Deadpool and Friend. Yes.
We did so much stuff this past weekend.
Yeah. We saw, so you and I hung out for the first time since London.
A while, after I had my kid.
Yeah, 15 months or something like that. We finally hung out. We saw Deadpool and Wolverine. That was a good time. We each got a popcorn, and you got, what'd you get? Like a cherry Coke?
Cherry Coke. It's my go-to.
I got my blue icy, and we had a good time. We had the nice seats. It was wonderful. But yeah, so no TRB next week. So we will be back after D23. I think it's August 15th. We're back, and we'll react to everything that happened there. But yeah, Nerdy and Nice will be with you on Monday again. And then there will be no Nerdy and Nice the following week. But just make sure you're subscribed to the show, whether it's TRB on your favorite audio podcast app or right here, youtube.com/@TRB podcasts, or Nerdy and Nice, which is also on its own podcast apps. However you're liking TRB, thank you very, very much. Super chats are available if you do want your comments read on the show tonight. I know we're not doing Ask the Resistance. We got some cool shout outs later in Resistance transmissions. But before we get into everything here, Lacey, how's everything going? How you doing?
Good. I see some comments in the chat about me not having pretzels. I did not have a pretzel at the movie theaters. I feel like a terrible person. It was just 9:45 in the morning. And popcorn was the way to go. I was just not feeling a pretzel that early.
Yeah. I got all the butter on mine. I don't think you did.
The butter grosses me out. It really does. I try very hard not to say anything to other people, though, because that's your thing. I don't want to be rude. But like it. No.
I'll have an 8-pound pretzel, but I'll be damned if I'm going to put some of that gross oil butter.
It's not gross oil. I just don't like it. A lot of people enjoy it. And
like
John was so funny because he was like, "Do you know the straw trick?" And I was like, "I know the straw trick where you take a straw and you put it in the middle of your popcorn. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand."
Yeah. No. The straw trick is you just put the straw up to the oil thing and you drink the butter straight out of the thing. That's the straw trick.
I'm sorry, what?
Nothing. Here we are.
What did you just say? Do you want to do a super chat really quick?
Butter. It's like
gross.
Butter. Yeah.
Do you want to do a super chat?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Kicking off the night, we have David Ford. Thank you, man. He said Andor needed to be an adult show in order to successfully depict the brutal and evil nature of a fascist takeover. Mom would have let me wouldn't let me watch it. Would have let me watch it though.
Maybe wouldn't have. I don't know.
Mom, meatloaf. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
If you're wondering why I'm not wearing my typical hat, it's because
I did notice that.
The Yankees are back, and they just swept the Philadelphia Phillies in 3 games.
I thought you've been hating on them for like a month and a half.
Yeah, because they were like for 2 months, they were like a month and a half, they were the worst team in baseball, and now they're back.
Like,
So
the Yankees suck. They suck so much.
it's a it's a long season, the ups and downs, and it's a journey. But anyway, we're here to talk about Star Wars, not sports. We'll launch our sports podcast one day. But for now, it is time to talk news, and that means it is time for the Resistance Report.
It's the Resistance.
Harrison Ford just slaying that press line at
I was
San
gonna
Diego
say
Comic-Con.
when I hear his voice, all I think of, I will not answer that stupid question. But thank you anyway.
No, my favorite was when they were like, how did it feel joining the Marvel universe and being a part of it? And he goes, they gave me a lot of real money. It's just like,
He doesn't
he's at the
care.
point, like Harrison Ford says, literally, he's like Larry David. He's the Larry David of famous movie stars. He just says whatever's on his mind, and people love him for it. It's great.
It's true. It's very true. But
And
getting
I'm
into
a
the
little
news.
envious. Yeah.
Yes, but getting into the news. So, big story drop today. Like we said at the top, we were afraid we have nothing to talk about today, but that is not the case. People released an exclusive interview with a bunch of the cast and crew of Skeleton Crew. Now, most importantly, they've announced that Skeleton Crew will premiere this year, 2024, on December 3rd on Disney Plus, which is exciting. That's holiday time, family time, which is what we believe the best time for Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
When the family's together, having a good time. This is a family-oriented show with kids. You know, it was pitched as Stranger Things in Star Wars, so
Mm-hmm.
I am not surprised that they chose this time. I know I've been saying this for ever that they were going to do it around holiday time because it just made sense. Like,
I
why
just came,
wouldn't pitch this?
I just
What?
thought of something that I can't say on the live show yet
Why?
because it has to do with our future plans. I'm not just going to start blurting it out.
Sorry. But yeah, it's just really exciting. They announced that there is, there's a droid. They announced all the kids' names, a bunch of different details, including some photos, which we have here on the show tonight. So, John, I'm going to let you kick it off. What stuck out to you about this big drop besides the date? I think the date is the first thing I looked for. When I saw the article, I scrolled to the bottom. I see it at the top now.
Oh, did you? I didn't even
Yeah.
think of that. So
I
yeah,
wanted to know if they put the date because they tend to hide the date in these things. Like right at the bottom, they're like, "Oh, and it will air on this day," and you're like, "Oh,
yeah.
really?"
Well, I
Yeah.
rushed the tweet out on TRB. I was like, "Oh, gotta quote tweet it, gotta get the likes," And I posted it, and then I was like, "Oh, I didn't put the date." So I looked for the date. I think I saw like Jordan Mazon had posted that. So I was like,
Mhm,
"Gotta delete it, gotta redo it because we don't pay for Twitter, so we can't edit it right now." So
mhm,
I had to
mhm.
repost it with the date, but December 3rd, which means Tuesday nights are apparently Star Wars on Disney Plus night because the Ahsoka did it, I think. Acolyte just did it, and now December 3rd is a Tuesday, so we're probably looking at the same type of 9 p.m. Unless they bump it up because of kids,
Mhm.
maybe they do 8 p.m.
Or they might
My
do
kids,
7.
I try to get my kids in bed like 8 o'clock rolls around, sun shining. I'm like bedtime,
Yeah, it is my time to shine.
darkening
Um,
shades on the windows. Yeah.
but yeah, what do
Um,
you think? They did talk to Jude Law, who seems to be like the poster child for this show, which is understandable. It's Jude Law.
ah,
His name in the show is Jod Nawood.
yeah.
Can't wait to say that 50,000 times.
Jana.
Jodna.
Jod. Kneel
We
before
haven't really
Jod.
heard him say it out loud, so I'm
Yeah.
just reading it as it's
You think he
spelled.
says it Jode?
Oh, maybe.
Jode.
Jodna? Why didn't they just call him Steve? Like, why why do they do this every
They do
time?
need a couple of like Allens in Star Wars and that
Luke,
sort of thing.
Leia, Han, like those Lando,
Owen,
like yeah,
Ben.
oh, why what the Jodna? Really? I'm sorry. Come on.
They got
You're gonna name Jude Law Jodna?
they have a pinball machine in the creative room and they just pick out letters. It's like All right. What I think, well, Jude Law. What's going to be good about this is Jude Law is just this a very naturally charismatic person.
Mhm.
So I could totally envision him on the seat, on like Kimmel or Tonight Show with the kids and playing games and like really promoting this. And hopefully they open it up to other areas of marketing that kids' eyeballs are on, whether that's getting ads on YouTube Kids. I don't know what you got to do, but the images I like. The only one that made me a little like, oh no, is the one of the kids on the speeder bike,
Oh,
the
on the
goggles.
bike? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that one. It it looks like it's a
They're
promo.
train or a truck or something.
It looks like it's a promo for like a 3D ride or like a Spy
It
Kids movie.
does look like a ride for, like, Universal that they're like, "Take a trip to Star Wars."
Yeah, and it's it's a still out of a clearly a scene that's in high paced motion. So, but overall, it looks really cool. It has warmth to it. I like the color palette. It looks. I've saw people using the word cozy, and I'll agree with that. I think we're in for a type of series where we're not worrying about people getting killed left and right, which is really going to be a complete flip from what we were just dealing with the Acolyte. So I think we're in for just a nice, fun adventure and not so much, God, I hope these kids are okay. I think all these kids are going to be okay. I think this is going to be one of those shows that is a contained story that may borrow stuff from the Mandoverse, like the pirates are probably going to be antagonists here. We'll probably run into other people along the way because you need that in a good adventure. But at the end of it, the 8 episodes, these kids are going to get home and they're going to be all okay. And it's going to be one of those happily ever after endings for Star Wars. Whether they continue with them or not, I'm not sure. If it's a contained story and it's just sort of like Stand By Me was one movie, Goonies one movie. Like if it's this one ET one movie, if it's this one neat little nice fun happy adventure, then I think we're in good shape. So I'm liking everything I'm getting so far from this. It's not too much because I don't know how you feel. I think a lot of his quotes are surface level. Like I couldn't dig too much from it.
Mhm.
Um, but I did like what he had to say. So
Yeah, the official synopsis that they released was when four kids make a mysterious discovery on their seemingly safe home planet, keyword seemingly, uh, they get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. And then it said finding their way home, meeting unlikely allies and enemies will be a greater adventure than they ever imagined.
mhm.
So they lose their way and then they have to get home, which I'm pretty sure from the panel that we saw at Celebration in London, they had explained how the kids get on a ship to get away, and then they're like, "No, watch out, don't hit the, light speed button," and then they end up somewhere else.
I
It's kinda
almost
like
forgot everything I saw from that in London. Do you
I mean,
remember? You have a
they
better
shot
memory than me. I saw it.
they showed glimpses of but I remember that specifically, like, they get on a ship by accident and they go somewhere, and then they're like,
Mhm.
"Oops, we gotta get home," which we've seen before in kids' movies, kids make a bad mistake, and then they're mad at their parents in the beginning, and then halfway through, they're like, "I really miss my parents, I should have been nicer to my parents," and then by the end, they're like,
Yes.
"Mom, Dad."
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
do you remember I mean, we're not that different in age, but do you remember I'm like, this is after your time, before your time. This movie called Explorers in 1985 with, like, Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix, and they,
I
like,
was not
make
born yet.
Right, but you've seen Star Wars.
That is fair, but I have no idea what
Uh,
that movie
but
is.
anyway, these kids like they build this spaceship and they launch and they go on this adventure and they have to get home and it's sort of like that. And also like Flight of the Navigator, which was a Disney movie about this kid who gets abducted by this spaceship and he has to find his way home. It's
Mhm.
there is something that like they tap into for young kids because if you think about when you were a kid, you want to explore and you want to find what's out there, but you also want to be able to like look behind you and still see that you can see your house.
Right, right.
And it's like, what do you do to get back? And it's like it's the friendships. It's like if you one of these kids, whether it's the little mini Max Rebo guy who I think's named Neil.
It is
uh
Neil, Neel, like our buddy Neil.
oh, so just like Neil. So
Mhm.
yeah, like if they were by themselves, they'd be terrified. But because they have each other, that's what's going to push the story. And you know me, Lacey, like characters are first for me. And
Mhm.
if I'm sold on the relationship of these kids, and they do it like a solid job, I'm going to be all in on it. Like the story won't matter as much because clearly it has a beginning and an end, and it's going to follow a formula of a classic adventure story, which is fine. I don't need to reinvent the wheel of storytelling. I want to experience these kids growing together and becoming this little team with the help of Jude.
Yeah, so they did give us some names for these characters. So the child on the left of the image on the screen, which by the way, it's the group of kids surrounding Jude Law, seemingly on a ship. They're talking to him in a close quarters way. The child all the way to the left with the curly hair is named Wim. Then you have Jodna Nawwood, which is Jude Law. Then the child with the kind of old lady bob with the goggles, the lady that's going to get the manager at the
Edna?
Chili's. Yeah, named KB. Then you have the elephant looking alien, which is Neil. And Fern is the girl all the way to the right with the jacket and the face that's like, what did you just
She's a
say to me?
leader.
Yeah, she
So-
looks like she's looking at Jude Law like, what did you just say?
Yeah, she's got the bomber jacket. She's like the leader of the pack, and then the girl in the back is like the smart one with all like she's like the nerd. She's like very smart. And then the other one on the left is like the quiet one of the group. And then little Neil is just going to be like this like odd little quirky.
He's the
sweet
comic
thing.
relief. He's
Yeah.
the chunk.
Yeah. And then Jode is going to be Jude Law, clearly.
I mean, think about it. You have the KB in the back. KB in the back with the goggles is definitely
She's
like
Egon Spengler. Yeah.
yeah, the data of the group.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I love Jude Law. Like he pulled up his Range Rover, got out of the car, walked into Pinewood Studios, wherever they filmed this thing, and they just put that cloak on him. No makeup. Like that's Jude Law. Like he's rolled in.
He has a little something on. He probably has moisturizer.
Even Woody Harrelson, they slapped a wig on him for Solo. Like Jude Law, they're like, we are selling. Jude Law's too good looking. We cannot change this man.
Yeah, he did say, "quote I had a wonderful time making this with everyone involved. Those four in particular who worked with me very closely were just great fun and incredibly professional, and I'm immensely proud to be a part of this crew." The series creators John Watts and Christopher Ford did share the same sentiments on set. They said, quote, because he's with the kids all the time, he's also kind of felt like the co-director, co-producer with us, and he's co-acting coach, giving them tips, and they would look at him and he'd really become sort of a mentor figure for the kids as well, Watts recalls. And then Ford added, and he didn't have to do that. He just did that because it was nice and it would make things work great. So it seems like they're kind of a family that worked together to put out a good show. And they just continue to gush about how great it was and how the kids were so wonderful. And then they also let it be known that there is a droid in this show because it wouldn't be Star Wars without the droid, named SM33, and it is voiced by Nick Frost.
From Shaun of the Dead fame.
Shaun of the Dead, yes.
Yeah.
And other stuff too, but I probably know that just because we just saw an ad for Shaun of the Dead in the movie for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right. Oh yeah, right. They're coming back to theaters for it. So is this him right here?
I believe that is him, but I don't know if that's
he almost looks like a medic droid or something.
Yes, it is. So the description of this photo of the droid on the right side of the screen that looks like he's kind of like powered down with the four kids on the right. It says SM33, voiced by Nick Frost, with Wim, Fern, KB, Neil, and it says in Lucasfilm Star Wars Skeleton Crew. It is interesting that this movie's coming out on December 3rd because it seems that already merchandise is kind of hitting stores. Like someone found something in a Hobby Lobby, someone found something at Hot Topic. So I guess some of the art has gotten out and people are starting to print stuff and sell it. But
they gotta. I mean,
yeah.
If you want kids to like, I hate to say it, Christmas is almost 4 months away. Like you want,
I've done my Christmas shopping already. Not
you
to be
have
like
to be
totally
kidding
crazy.
me.
I'm not kidding you.
God, what'd you get me?
I told you I got you something like a while ago.
You got me a Christmas gift already?
Yeah, back in like May.
I'm a horrible friend. I have to buy you a Christmas gift.
I like giving gifts. That's my thing. Giving gifts. I enjoy doing it. I don't expect anything in return. I find joy and happiness in giving things to people.
Hmm.
Nothing makes me happier than finding the perfect gift and or card for someone.
I get you
Oh
there.
my God.
Yeah.
I get like a high from it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, this is the perfect gift for this person.
I gotta go to Etsy and look up to scale Han Solo and Carbonite.
For who?
So
For
you
yourself?
stop asking Chris for it. I'm
You know
gonna
what?
drop $3,000 on
When
it.
he eventually ships that thing to me. What up, Chris?
He technically got us it with these
I
all the
know.
years back there, but
I know. He's so sweet. And I
yeah.
got my Christmas lights back for anybody that didn't notice last week. They died. I bought new ones. So isn't that wonderful? When he finally ships to me, you're gonna be like, man, maybe I should have said. Which, by the way, you only have that because I keep saying that all the time.
I only have that because of that,
You
is that right?
you only have that light in front of you
Really
because they thought it was funny that I kept saying it all the time.
interesting take. We'll have to take it to
Tell
Belgium
me,
and see what they think.
tell me if I'm wrong.
I'm the man
Anyway,
of the people. I would please. All right.
we do have a
So
couple more pictures. So we
yeah.
do have this one picture, which I think a lot of people were sharing because, like you said, it felt warm and cozy. It's like during seemingly golden hour or early morning. It's a lovely green field, and they have these bikes that are very reminiscent of ET or Stranger Things with the handlebars and the
Mhm.
streamers. Um, while this is a very adorable, heartwarming image, part of me was like, really, it feels like they're ripping other things off with this, with
Like
the
too
bikes.
much, you mean?
Yeah. With the walkie-talkies like Stranger Things and the
Ye
bikes. It seemed like a lot. And look, I get it in that time period, like people were using bikes and walkie-talkies. Like you can't be like, oh, that's only, but it just seems like a little much that they're like, I don't know. It like with the backpacks and they're going, they're talking to each other on walkie-talkies. Like that's the whole beginning of Stranger Things is when they're going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm okay with that though. I don't know why it doesn't bother me. Like maybe it's because like one of the kid like it is in Star Wars, so one of the kids is an alien and I don't know. I just how it looks though, at least in these stills, and at least my memory from the footage is because this was shot the same on stagecraft, right? Wasn't this shot the same way as the other shows like Mando and whatnot? My
I'm not sure. I think they built some of the sets. Like I think the spaceship they built.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
think some of the other stuff, yes, was probably in a volume type
Oh yeah, Manhattan
situation.
Beach Studios. Yep, same spot as Mando, same spot as Ahsoka. So it's gonna like if you're like expect Mandalorian, Ahsoka level quality. That's what we're
Which
looking for.
we are seeing with the bike shot.
Yeah, like some nighttime shots, some nighttime action shots in Mando were the ones that looked a little iffy. Like I remember the like Dr. Pershing episode, some of that was a little and but it's also like there are elements of Star Wars that are intentionally campy, so you have to like walk the line a bit. But
Mhm.
overall, it looks. I like the color palette. It feels like it's a warm show, and I think the word they used, at least Jude Law, was that it's
Joyful.
joyful.
Yeah.
So
Joyful.
I don't think like anyone's dying in this show in terms of the kids. I don't think he's dying. I bet it's even one of those shows where the bad guys, sort of like Darth Vader at the end of A New Hope, like spinning off into space, and then like let Mandalorian kill them later. That sort
Yeah.
of thing. But overall, I think it looks good. I'm excited to learn more about it, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it in our discussion about D23 because you and I already talked about it. Probably going to get a trailer in about 10 days.
I do have to mention also, we talked a little bit about the CM33 voiced by Nick Frost, but they do say he's a rusty, old, cranky droid that reluctantly helps the kids.
Mm,
So, he's also, quote, "the first mate of a mysterious ship." So maybe he's the one that, like, they activate and then the ship takes off and they're like, "Oh no, what have we done?"
yeah. So they find an old ship and he's like a part of the ship, sort of like Dio in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, and then they just kind of activate him, and he's like, "Oh, taking off," and they're like, "No, don't do that," and he's like, "I'm taking off," and they're like, "No, please don't." Kind of
And
like Star Tours. It's literally Star Tours.
he's just angry all the time. Also, we didn't see, Jaleel White's going to be in this. We don't know who he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm obviously interested. I can't wait to see a trailer and see what kind of buzz it generates. But I was talking about it before. Like, I showed Johnny and Daisy the pictures, and like Daisy's still too young; she's only 3. But Johnny's like, "Oh, that looks really cool." He's like, "Those bicycles, And
He's
I
like
think,
the prime target for this, huh? He's like in
yeah,
that sweet spot, like what, 6, 7?
he's almost 6.
Yeah.
And he is definitely gonna watch this. I would love to sit down and watch this with him.
Are you
So
excited? 6 and 7 is like when I got into Star Wars. That's
I
so exciting.
I have not watched a new Star Wars with my son before.
Mhm.
My I mean, Daisy's too young. So this would be
Mhm.
the first time, and I think this is the right show for it. So as us as parents, I know your Daisy's probably too young to sit down and watch a full live action Star Wars show. Unless she's not. My kids are maybe the attention span,
She
but
watches like she's watched Young Jedi Adventures, which she thought it was Grogu, not Yoda.
mhm.
She's watched super cuts of Chewbacca and BB-8 and Grogu. Like she'll watch glimpses and moments. She does not have the attention span to sit there and watch a full movie. Like she
Yeah,
wants to
that's
play, she wants to
yeah.
do other things. She'll watch a little bit and then move
Same with
on.
Daisy, my Daisy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
but like I think Johnny's gonna be into this, and I think it'd be really cool if me and him are sitting on a couch watching a
You
new Star
have
Wars
to,
together.
if you're okay with it, you have to do a reaction with him.
Oh, I will. Yeah,
Oh, that would be so fun to watch. That would
yeah.
be so fun.
He's
Aw.
like, "This stinks." And I'm like, "No."
Uh, my daughter, like, we have a magnet, mirror on the fridge, ever since she was little, because it kinda, like, lets her see what she's doing and it,
Mhm.
like, teaches motor skills, I guess. But she'll go up to it now and she'll be like, "Hi, it's me, Daisy. Come on in. Come into the kitchen." And, like, she does these little things, and I joke that she's, like, my little influencer because she'll be like, "Mommy's going to podcast," and she'll come upstairs and she'll be like, "I wanna be on the podcast. I wanna talk on the microphone." And I'm like, "Oh my god. What is happening?"
The next generation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
We'll
cute.
see.
Yeah,
I hope she likes Star Wars, you kinda have a hope that they're into what you like, but at the same time, if she's not, that's okay too.
yeah.
Although, I'm gonna admit, she's gotten into Bluey, that's her new thing. She's finally gone over that hill, guys. She's in the Bluey train, and I really like that show, to the point that, like, today, I was like, "Maybe I'll throw some Bluey on," like,
My
while
kids
I'm
love
doing
it.
things.
Yeah, yeah, Bluey, there's a few things that they watch.
Give me
Some of the
Bluey, but Star Wars. That's what I want. Give me some Bluey Star Wars.
inanimated, like, kids show.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but the my last takeaway on this is it's Jude Law again. They just had him. It was all him, I guess. But
They're having him sell this show, man. They're
but
going like,
he's
"Jude, go."
but he's got the info because he's talking about the environments, even though it's filmed on stagecraft with the volume and all that. He said, of course, you're expecting to work with droids and alien species, but you forget that they're brought to life right in front of you by these extraordinary people who have skills, whether it's puppets or as animatronic experts. You're surrounded by them because they're as much part of the cast as those who are flesh and blood. And Phil Tippett shared this piece today, and I forgot that I believe they brought him back for this series.
That
So,
makes me so happy when I see Phil getting work
oh
with
my
Star
god,
Wars.
it's just like
Bring in the expert.
I'll never forget, there's this clip of Peter Weller, the guy who played RoboCop, and he's signing
Mhm.
autographs at a convention, and then this voice out of nowhere goes, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me," which is RoboCop's like big line,
Yeah.
and it's Phil Tippett. And Peter Weller looks up and goes, "Oh my god!" And he hugs him and he goes, "Guys, do you know who this is?" And like Phil Tippett's just like putting bunny ears on it or
Phil,
behind
come
his
on
head
the
and stuff.
show.
He
Everybody tweet
oh,
at Phil to come on the show.
I would
I'll
love to
lose it.
talk to him. I don't think he likes talking about Star Wars much, but
Mm.
he is like just this revered guy where the star of a movie that he worked on was like, "Do you guys know who this guy is?" So the fact that he's back, it
Yeah.
also like fends off the original trilogy or die people, because it's like we got the guy who set up the thing that made you love this stuff to begin with. So I think that's cool. Hearing that they're surrounded by these environments. This might be a show that I'm not saying Mando didn't do this, because obviously with all the Anzellans and all that stuff, but they're using the stagecraft. They've had a few rounds with it. We have different directors, different showrunners, John Watts. Let's see what they can do. And with all these animatronics, the old school guys, they may have really been able to, I hope with each stagecraft Star Wars show, they learn from the previous one, and they keep getting better and better, because it is good for the budget, and it is still quality stuff. Because I don't want to be the one to say this, but like Mandalorian Chapter 9, the one Jon Favreau directed, stagecraft, filmed all in the volume, Manhattan Beach. It looked better to me than a lot of the Acolyte stuff, which was built on huge sets. So it's not necessarily the real sets all the time. It's how you're able to make things look in camera. So I think this is going to look good, and I hope they continue to evolve this. I still want movies to be shot on location and stuff, but I'm not one way or the other with the TV shows. I just want them to keep learning and keep improving as they do one after the other. Sort of like Star Wars movies have, look at the first lightsaber fight in Star Wars. Cling, clang, clang. And then now look at them, So evolution is good. You just have to know sometimes when to take your foot off the gas and put it on.
Yeah. I think it's so important to be on location sometimes. And then also, because it is this otherworldly places like space fantasy, it is okay to do things digitally. It's just like you said, it's how you do it, because sometimes it just doesn't look right. It doesn't I felt that way with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like it very much felt like, oh, they're in the same room all the time. They're never leaving this room.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah. But let's get into our next story, which is kind of it's not news, because it's more of a recap of something that someone else already said, but it's making the rounds. So we did
very interesting.
Yes, it's very interesting, and it's making the rounds, so we wanted to bring it up. So Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld was on a podcast, and he said that Fox was pissed at Disney for the upcoming acquisition for when they bought Fox. So that's why they moved Deadpool in between Avengers and Solo to basically screw over Solo, a Star Wars story. But let's hear it from him himself.
When this is old news. When Disney was going to buy Fox, there were people at Fox that weren't excited about that. They knew that was going to be streamlined, and people in marketing and all different services were going to lose their jobs. And some of the people who were really great to me, they were super grumpy about the news that they were being bought. They moved Deadpool 2 to wedge it between Infinity War and Solo. It wasn't originally there. And that was a big they were definitely pissed. And I remember the big, I think it was the second week of Infinity War. No. I think it was a full 2 weeks after Deadpool opened again to 130, some giant number. And that slowed the crawl of Infinity War and kind of got in front of Solo. Executive moves, man.
We have talked about this for so many years as the people behind Make Solo 2 happen. And I love that you're wearing that shirt tonight, John. You clearly planned that. It is surprising that they planned a Star Wars movie and that Marvel movie next to each other. It's not surprising that people were annoyed and put that in between. But even then, to know that coming next year, they're doing the same thing.
2 years.
2026. Yes, you're right. Sorry. In 2 years, they're doing the same thing. They're doing Avengers and then Mandalorian and Grogu. And you sit there and you go, again? You're doing this again? John, what are your thoughts? You're the one that I'm going to admit found this clip, shared it with me. We're like, we have to talk about this. So
because this isn't. This is coming from the guy who invented Deadpool, and he's sharing a story.
Feet, though.
Huh?
He can't draw feet, though.
Can't draw feet. He is sharing a direct information he got from somebody at Fox. So it's not like a telephone game. And I looked it up. Yeah, Deadpool was supposed to be, I think, a couple of weeks after Solo. And it's just, I mean, it hurts because I know, like, they set up Solo to have sequels, and we didn't need to get into all that again about the marketing failures and that Denny spelled Wookiee with one E. Like, I should do a video about that, honestly. Um,
Spoiler
um,
alert, John did, and it's sitting in a folder on my computer.
I'll do a
Maybe
better version.
someday,
It's
maybe
fine.
someday it will come out of the vault.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. Anyway, it's a bummer. It's a bummer for sure. And you bring up the fact about in 2 years. I mean, I feel like Avengers ain't gonna be moving, so
Nope.
move Mando maybe. But it's very like I don't even know what the word is, but it's like this fateful clash because you have I think I said this on Nerdy Nice, but you have Avengers returning with Robert Downey Jr., who's going to be basically going up head to head against Jon Favreau's next movie, and Jon Favreau's the one who pushed for Robert Downey Jr. to be cast as Iron Man. So it's just like this weird Shakespearean thing that's set
It's
up right
also
now.
funny because Fantastic Four are going to be in that Avengers film, and then Pedro is leading the Mando film, so he's also in both.
He's in both, yeah, and probably going to be on screen like briefly in the Mando movie.
Yeah.
It's a quick story. It's an interesting story. I know we got to get to our D23 predictions. It's just such a like Solo just became this Murphy's Law for Star Wars, and it never had to. And it's just that's why I love it so much and root for it so much, because like to me, I've always said this, it is the really only other major Star Wars underdog story besides the first Star Wars movie. And it's just it'll always hold that place in my heart. And
It's so good. It's so
you and
good.
I see it all the time.
Yes.
Every time someone's tweeting about makes it a little too happen or something like that, people are like, I didn't realize Solo is actually really good. It's just like, yeah, it is.
It's so good. It's so good.
But anyway, it's just an interesting bit here because I never heard we've heard rumors about that because Deadpool did move its date, but to hear it from the guy who invented Deadpool basically confirms that they moved it out of spite or hatred for Disney. It's just like, Bob.
And also, Rob is one of those creators that doesn't care what people think and will say whatever he wants to say. So I don't think he's making it up because he's just like the Merc with a mouth. He's been known to have a bit of a mouth himself. He's not afraid to tell people how it is.
Yeah, and I know we have a couple of super chats. So do you want to get to those before D23, or are they D23 related?
I'm not sure. Let's get into them and see where we're at. Maybe we'll transition into. So first of all, we have Freezy 2324. Of course, Freezy, it wouldn't be a show without you, man. He said, I was at a con 2 weeks ago and Lars Mikkelsen told me Ahsoka season 2 doesn't start filming till April.
Whoa!
I wonder if that means it comes after the movie. I love how Lars doesn't care. He's like, yeah, I'm filming in April.
Freezy, breaking news.
Breaking news, Freezy.
Eat your heart out, Jeff Snyder. Freezy is on the case.
I just think Lars doesn't care. Once he was like, I'm not in it. And then he's like, surprise, I'm in it. Now he doesn't care. He's like, I'm not in it.
That's so wow. If they don't start filming till April, I think those shows typically film for like 6 to 8 months.
Will it start but before Celebration or after Celebration? It would have to be before because Celebration's towards the end of April.
Yeah. So there's no, Ahsoka's not going to be shown. Nothing.
We're not seeing anything from Ahsoka. Yeah.
So this means this show, if Lars Mikkelsen's accurate,
being on,
so assuming this is accurate and Ahsoka starts filming in April of 2025, that means it's not going to wrap filming till the end of 2025.
We won't see it till 2026.
Yeah, usually it's a year turnaround with post-production and stuff for these types of shows. So, yeah.
Freezy follows it up saying maybe he was messing with you. I don't think he was. I think he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Freezy.
Well, anyway, that's cool. Thank you, Freezy. That's really awesome that you got to go, and I hope you had a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Then we have nerdy_Seb. Thank you so much for the super chat. It said, it's been a while. Hope all is good. I'm hopeful for a new animated show. Keep up the great work.
Thanks.
Well, we'll get into what we think's coming in this next part, which is our discussion.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right. So D23 will take place August 9th to the 11th this year. And while Lucasfilm was very quiet, geez, I can't even talk. Quiet. Well, Lucasfilm was very quiet
The
at San Diego
quiet.
Comic-Con compared to other major Disney IPs. It leaves us wondering if Star Wars plans to generate big buzz out of D23 this year. So let's take our shot here and have some fun with guesses, predictions of what we might learn about from Star Wars at this upcoming Fan Expo. And we'll see. But obviously, first thing to cross off is I think we're both expecting, as you texted me earlier, a Skeleton Crew trailer, right?
Oh, yeah. Definite trailer. And I think they'll bring everybody out on
The
stage.
kids out with Jude Law.
And then they're going to bring the kids to Disneyland and film it.
Oh, film them at Disneyland? Like
Yeah.
having fun?
At Star
Yeah.
Wars Land. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll get that. Do you have anything else that's like, oh, I definitely think we're getting this? Like, do you think anything from The Mandalorian, which just started filming, I believe?
I think we'll get updates about The Mandalorian. Rumors are that, Disney was pretty quiet overall and Lucasfilm at San Diego Comic-Con and Marvel wasn't. The idea was that a lot of insiders are saying, sources are saying, that they're going to give a full outline of what's to come from Lucasfilm and Pixar and even Marvel at the upcoming D23. So as we all noticed with San Diego Comic-Con, Kevin Feige didn't give his famous Feige roadmap. He didn't give the whole thing of like, hey, this is where we're going for the next 4 or 5 years. They said that he's holding that for D23 and that Pixar and Lucasfilm are going to present similar roadmaps for what's to come. So I think anything that's being worked on is going to be mentioned. I think Skeleton Crew is going to come out on stage. I think perhaps they could bring Daisy Ridley out on stage since they already did that at Celebration. I could see them doing that, being like, hey, this is the next part of the journey. I think Kathleen Kennedy will come out with probably Dave Filoni and give some type of like, here's what's next from Lucasfilm. I think we're also going to get an update about Lando.
Oh, man. Interesting. I would love that, the Lando thing. I think we're getting an Andor trailer.
Do you think a behind the scenes reel or a trailer?
I'm going to go with trailer.
I think we could get a behind the scenes reel of like everything that's in production right now.
Like a sizzle.
Yeah.
A little
like,
sizzly.
hey, we're working behind the scenes.
I fear that we aren't going to hear anything about the Rey Skywalker movie. And the only reason why I say that is because, I mean, we haven't gotten any updates from official Star Wars or anything, but all the major viable trades and, known accurate reporters and stuff like that have said that they're still working on the script and that they recently brought in an additional writer. So if they don't have a final script yet, and Daisy Ridley is either just about to get a draft, she hasn't even read a script yet, I don't think they're going to stoke that flame and put the attention on that yet because they don't have enough to say. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to bring Daisy out again and bring Charmin Obaid-Chinoy out and say...
It depends. She might be there for A Young Woman in the Sea.
But maybe.
Because if she's there for that movie to talk about it and say like, hey, we had a great experience, then they might bring her out because she's already there.
Yeah, but if they don't have anything else to say that we haven't already heard, like Rey's gonna train new Jedi and she's gonna go on an adventure, and it's not what I expected, and it's just like I'm hoping that they have been working so hard behind the scenes that they hit us with a title and really some concrete information, maybe a logo or something. That would be, because the Rey movie has to happen. Like, we keep saying that, like, you cannot bring the carrier of the mainline torch, bring her out on stage at Celebration to say she's back, and then screw this up. So this movie they have to do this. There's so many little kids that fell in love with this character that are the future of this fan base. Little girls with the Ray buns, they're all over the place. They love Star Wars now because of this character. You cannot mess this up. You can't let them down. So I don't think they're there yet. I'm happy to be surprised that they have been doing more than what the trades are reporting and they give us something. But if they don't have anything new, don't come out there and say the same stuff you said 15 months ago in London, because then people are going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Can I give you a wild guess?
Oh, I love wild guesses.
I think they're bringing out Sean Levy, and he's going to tell you what his Star Wars movie is.
That is the smartest thing they could do. Yeah. I did tweet that the other day.
You did?
I did. You'd be very proud.
Oh, I am proud. High five at having the same brain.
I said, because we do this too much.
Yeah. I just feel like it's so smart because he's been hammering over and over and over again. And we've been talking about this for months now, where they were like, oh, they're thinking of Sean Levy for Avengers. I was like, there's no way he's doing that. He wants to do Star Wars.
He
and then
turned it
all of a
down.
sudden he turns it down. Now he has a writer. He's got the writer for the. Why wouldn't they bring him out? He is at the peak right now with Deadpool. He is replying to all these tweets all the time. He's talking about how much he loved that experience. He's in the spotlight. He's going to football games with Taylor Swift.
Do it.
He's going to come out on stage and talk about his Star Wars movie. And that's going to be the big shocking moment of the Star Wars part of the ball.
I hope that's the case. That is the smartest thing they could possibly do, because he's talking about it publicly and they have yet to officially announce it. The reason why I turned my hat around is because I was so...
Wait, are we a sports podcast now?
No, I'll get to it. There's an analogy.
All right.
I was so excited to hear that he turned down Avengers because he wants to make his Star Wars movie. Because I feel like Star Wars has been getting beaten to a pulp publicly by like filmmakers and the vibe of how it is to make this stuff, and when these projects fail, what these people say and what fans are saying. Like, Star Wars needs a win, and I think Sean Levy making that move, like turning down what could be the biggest movie of all time, if this new Avengers is going to be as big as we all assume it's going to be, to say, I want to make my Star Wars movie, that's a passion project. Sean Levy's here to make a passion project, and it's like Aaron Judge, my favorite New York Yankee, was offered way more money by the San Diego Padres to go there, and he's like, no, I'm a Yankee. I'm gonna take less and make my legacy with the team I love. That's what Sean Levy's saying. He grew up a Star Wars fan. He loves it. He could have made, like, the Russo brothers are fine. I think Sean Levy might be just as good, if not better, than them.
I think they have
monstrous legacy.
He has more heart than they do. I would say that.
I don't know them, but I'm saying
in the sense of storytelling, he has more of that heartwarming touch to his work than they do. Thus killing Tony Stark.
But Deadpool, it broke the curse of, the director getting announced, and even though they didn't announce him, he announced it, then making a dud. This is the opposite. Deadpool comes out, Deadpool and Wolverine, critics love it, audiences love it. It makes a ton of money. It's already at over $500 million.
Love it. Everyone that made the movie is obsessed with it.
Exactly.
And a big part of that is the environment that you create as a director. Is the story you set up, the relationships you create with your crew, and everybody that's ever worked with Sean. He's back doing Stranger Things again. People love him. And like, how could you not use this opportunity of D23 to get Star Wars back into the forefront than announcing the director that just had the largest opening of an R-rated movie and the 6th biggest opening of all time?
Right. I know it's they are set up so well with this that I think it would be. I think I on my tweet I wrote, I'd be shocked if he doesn't come out on stage and announces. I
feel bad. I didn't steal it from you. I promise. I had no idea.
Are you kidding?
No, I don't want people to think that I did that.
I'm not the first. I'm sure other people thought it too. It's just like, it's a no-brainer at this point. He's been talking about it. They've reported he already has a writer, and they haven't officially announced it yet. This is the time to do that. Real quick, back on the Ray movie thing. The only thing I think that they could do at this point, if all the reports are true in terms of where they are with the script, if they're close to being done with the script, they know what players are involved.
They could announce a title.
They could announce a title, but they know who needs to be involved. What if Daisy Ridley does come out and then she brings John Boyega out? That could be the
like, hey,
added
I'm not
thing.
going on this journey alone or something like that.
I need
Come
my
on
team.
out.
And then he walks out.
Yeah.
And he's in his stormtrooper outfit again. He's like, "No, I want to be a Jedi." No, I'm just kidding.
No, he would definitely come out with a lightsaber. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. He comes out with a lightsaber and ignites it, and it's
And then he'd go, "Come on," like he always does.
Yeah.
I love that we
be
know
cool.
these people so much that we just assume they're gonna say these things.
I know.
I swear I have a life outside of this book.
Other predictions for Star Wars. I obviously, if if that's true about Ahsoka filming, we won't get too many updates on that. I'm curious if Dave Filoni gives us an update on his movie.
I think they're gonna do that roadmap, and I think it's gonna answer a lot of questions of what's happening, what's not happening,
Yeah.
how Mando is now going a different direction, and they're not doing season 4. I strongly believe that they're not doing that, and they just haven't figured out a way not to do it.
Brendan Wayne recently said he's not sure.
Right. I
Yeah.
think that switched to a movie. I think the Lando series switched to a movie, and I think they're going to lay out their groundwork of what's coming because they need to get people back on board for the plan.
Can you oh, I can't even talk right now. I'm so excited with this thing that's not going to happen.
Sure.
Can you imagine Donald Glover takes the stage for Lando, and then they bring Alden Ehrenreich out, and then bring out Emilia Clarke, and they bring out Jonas, and they're like,
So
I would weep if that. It's not going to happen.
I know you would.
Weep.
The thing about the Lando movie, the question is because they kind of scrapped what the idea they had, right? So it could be anything now, anything that they want to do. So the question is it before Han or after Han? If it's after Han, you have to bring Alden back.
Yeah.
If it's before him, then you can't have him there because he meets in Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
It also depends on another piece of the puzzle, which is, did Donald Glover love working with Alden Ehrenreich? Because if him and his brother are writing the story and they love Alden and they want Han to be in the story and they want that dynamic again, he'll be there.
Yeah, well, Alden's stock has been rising too because he's making his own small films. He was praised for his role in Oppenheimer, which I thought he was great in.
I would seriously cry too, though, because I cried when they brought Ewan out.
You did?
Oh, totally. I cried. I recorded a video of it.
That was the one I thought they botched. From the theatrics. I like the theatrics. I like the Robert Downey Jr. with the mask thing.
Which, if you go back and watch that video, you see him coming out at the beginning, and it looks so silly because he's like walking quickly in his Robert Downey Jr. way that he walks, and it's so clear that it's him. But like, you're not paying attention.
Loafers.
Yeah, his $100 million because he's getting like $50 million a movie. Which someone posted today. They posted a clip of like Supergirl from CW, and they're like the CG visual effects of this movie now that they're paying Robert Downey Jr. Made me laugh. I honestly, it wasn't even the whole "come on out, are you coming back?" Yes, like it wasn't that. It was the idea that this poor man had been lying through his teeth for 6 years and had been fighting to come back to Star Wars. Like he said, for 6 years, he was in meetings and calls and emails and all these other things and working with the team and trying to come back to Star Wars. And he cared so much to make it happen that I was so genuinely happy for him to succeed in the thing that he wanted to do that it made me emotional. Because there's nothing more inspiring than someone that sticks with something, that says, no, I'm going to see this through, despite being told no, despite, someone failing at their Fantastic Four film that then bombs the Boba Fett film that then bombs the other things. There's nothing to me more inspiring than someone that is constantly told no, that then finally gets their success, that pays their dues and reaches a level of, not just not just success, but like happiness and encouragement and support from the people around them and also from the audience. Like people are and were so hyped for him to be back. And anytime I see someone kind of break through that wall and get what they've always wanted, it's just such an emotional thing for me because what's more inspiring than that? Like
I
someone
agree.
keeps telling you no and you're like, "You know what? You're wrong. And that's for me, that's awesome. I love that.
It's definitely a motivating thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's run down. I don't know that I have any other predictions necessarily. Like I don't think we're gonna get any sort of like.
What is your craziest thing that they could do? Because we said Sean Levy, but I feel like evidence points to that. Like, what's your craziest thing? Like, if they did something completely bananas, what would it be?
Oh, you want completely bananas?
Yes,
This will
completely
probably
bananas.
upset a lot of people.
Hmm.
They do bring Daisy Ridley out, and they reveal that because of schedule changes, they need to bring in a different director. And J.J. Abrams walks out on stage because Daisy Ridley loves J.J. Abrams and
I
would
like
do
J.J.
anything for him.
Abrams.
I don't think Kathleen Kennedy loved J.J. Abrams, so I don't know if that would be the
I
case.
think
I
because
would
he
have to
told her
check.
no. I think him and Kathleen didn't get along because she doesn't like being told no. My question is, when is Kathleen retiring?
I don't. Oh, I don't know. Like, well, they won't address this obviously on a D23, but yeah, I think her contract is up in 4 months.
But
So
I
I don't
think
know.
they've been pushing Filoni to take those steps to be that person. Because more and more at these panels, she's kind of stepping back and he's stepping up. And there's been rumors as of Celebration last year, there were rumors that Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau didn't get along.
I heard that too. Yeah, which I don't know. Everyone says Jon Favreau's like the greatest dude. So, I don't
I
know.
would believe it because of the way that he seems to be and like everyone tells the same story. Like
Yeah,
it would be one thing if like three people thought he was the greatest and then one person was like,
like he goes to
but like
bat for
everybody.
people a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And when you see people doing that, and like me seeing him and how he was worried about the kids at Celebration, like this is a good. He seems like a good man, and
Mhm.
I don't know anything about Kathleen Kennedy other than she's an absolute juggernaut producer and one of the greatest of all time.
Which you
But
have to be able to kinda stick to your guns if you're gonna be at that level of success,
yeah,
and that might rub
yeah,
people the wrong way.
yeah, they might
I
rub
mean,
it
we've
off on him.
seen kinda not great tweets from people in the business that don't like her.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I mean, the 2 guys that were doing solo don't like her. They've been made
Oh.
that very clear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Benioff and Wise,
They
yeah,
don't like her.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people have issues with those guys too, so I'm not here to say
I
one way or the other, but
yeah, no, I'm just curious to see. I know it wouldn't be here, but when that transition is happening,
mhm,
because you know it's coming. Also, if I was her, I would wanna go enjoy my life. I've had
mhm.
all the success, like, why not enjoy retirement?
Unless she, like, loves this so much, like,
And
I don't know. Yeah.
she totally might. I
Alright,
don't know,
so
I can't even imagine something that, like, I'm not even thinking of, but I feel like there's gonna be something that we're not even considering that's gonna be on that timeline.
well, the timeline thing in general makes me nervous because the last time they threw a map out there, people were able to, like, bring out the marker and cross off things that didn't end up happening, like Rangers of the New Republic
Marvel did
and,
that too, though. Marvel put out
um,
a thing and
Rogue
the
Squadron.
whole Kang
What
thing
if
fell through.
another wild thing would be the revival of Rogue Squadron? That would be a wild one.
I thought it was still on the table last time we heard about it. Like, Patty was like, "It's still we're still talking."
I think it sounded like a contractual obligation, like she owed them another script or something, but
Mm.
I
I
don't know.
think Sean is a set thing that they're
Yeah,
waiting to announce.
we're both thinking Sean Levy, that would be a huge, like, no-brainer to get him to go out there and do that.
Mhm.
Um, you think Lando updates, we both think Skeleton Crew trailer, I'm thinking Andor trailer, you said
I
maybe a
think
sizzle.
real with multiple
Yeah,
things. So, stuff that's in production from Mando to Andor to Ahsoka, like, all the stuff that's currently in production as, like, an overall production reel. That's what I'm thinking.
okay. Yeah, I could see that too.
Mhm.
And you think Daisy Ridley's coming out? I don't.
Mhm.
Unless they have something to add and they bring out Boyega or something. I'm happy to be wrong, but based on all the reports, at least that I'm reading, like they're still trying to figure out the script. So I don't know. And
Mm.
then I think that's all we threw out there. Obviously, we did the wild ones, like if JJ came out or whatever, but or if Alden came out for a Lando thing. But
Check your pulse if that happens. I'll be calling John, being like, "Are you all right, man?" It'd be that scene from Team America World Police where everyone's just throwing up.
Everyone. Get out of the street, you bum! Oh man! All right. Well, we will see what happens. When is it? The 9th to the 11th. So I think I'm coming home the 9th.
I'm coming home the 10th.
Yeah. All right. We shall see. Maybe we. Well, I mean, we'll obviously talk about it on TRB, but if something big happens, maybe we do some
Jump on. Yeah, jump on
short
live.
videos. Yeah. All right. Let us hear what the Resistance are hoping for, at least from D23, in our next segment called what?
Well, spoiler alert, I didn't know what the situation was, but John just said it. So Resistance Transmissions, it's back. You gonna say it's back, baby, John?
No. I'm not.
Now everybody says that. Everybody says that all the time now. Like every single person uses that phrase.
I stole it from George Costanza, or Frank Costanza.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is the part of the show that we hear from you guys in the Resistance, in the community. We put up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter, aka X, aka whatever it is now. And you guys give your answers. And I don't know what you said. And sometimes they are a little silly and funny, but from what John said, it seems like this one is not. It's more genuine, straightforward. Which the scenario is, which upcoming Star Wars project do you hope to get an update on at D23 next month? And as in next month, it's in 2 weeks. I know we're in July technically, but anyway, just being honest. All right. First up is Palpamemes at Palpamemes YT. What up, man? He said, Rey's new Jedi Order movie desperately needs an official update. I worry this movie is stuck in stagnation for production, which could lead to an indefinite delay. Where's the script? I'm just hearing, where's the beef? Where's the script?
You just sound like Goofy.
I did a little bit. We agree with you, man. What? Whoa. Anyway. We agree. We're hoping for some type of, I'm hoping for an update. John thinks we're not going to get one. I think we will get one.
Chewie and Grogu behind me both don't think we're getting an update on that. But
well, you and me, Palpamemes. All right, Blue Jedi at _Blue Jedi. What up, man? He said would be interested in some info or whatever new animation project they are working on, timeline and characters, etc. That is a good point. We don't have an update on animation.
Yeah,
all we have right now is Young Jedi Adventures.
Right.
Do you have any ideas, John, of what kind of animation? I really think you and I have said this for a long time. A Luke type of adventure.
I mean, they're staying in this area. For some reason, so why not do a Luke
get the trio together,
Han and Leia animated series?
Yeah, just makes sense. Mickey Bell at Mickey Bell. What up, Mickey? He said, I really hope they change the Mando and Grogu release date and bring it forward to late 2025. FF is filming and releasing within a year. It's possible. I'm assuming that's Fantastic Four. Yep. Where it is now in 2026 is A, too far away, and B, in the middle of an Avengers release. It will be Solo all over again.
Yep.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, I agree with you. And originally, where Mando was the Rey movie. The Rey movie was the one in May when they first announced it. It was the one right up against Avengers. And I remember we talked about it on the show here. And I was like, I can't believe they're doing this again. They're doing it again. Why? I would love for them to bump it up as well, Mickey. And I hope that they do that. Next up is Tony Rossi. What up, man? He said, or at Tony Rossi Media said, I want to hear that Daisy Ridley will get a script worthy of her talent. By the way, I watched it's not a quote. He watched Young Woman in the Sea this weekend, and Daisy was excellent. It's on my to watch list. I gotta watch.
Me too. I know.
Which is funny. it's the cover right now of Disney Plus. So when I go to turn on Bluey for Daisy, she sees Daisy Ridley and she goes, "It's Mama." And I'm like, I'm very flattered, but I look nothing like Daisy. It's very nice of you to say. But she knows that Daisy is how she got her name. So she goes, "That's how I got my name." I'm like,
Oh, really?
"It is." Yeah,
Very nice.
she knows. So every time she sees Daisy Ridley and Young Woman in the Sea, she goes, It's the Daisy." And I was like, "Yep." Mike Moore at Mike_8420. What up, Mike? He said it would be really cool for some news on the Lando project. Also, hashtag make Solo 2 happen would be amazing. Please bring Alden back.
Oh man.
Kate at Kate Escapes. Kate, what are you escaping from? Is everything all right? Blink twice. Andor season 2 trailer or Andor season 2 release date or Andor, oh my god, Andor season 2 promo photos or even Andor season 2 blurry set photo. I'm not picky. Kate is trying to escape the set with something. As Denzel Washington says in that popular meme, I'm leaving here with something.
Kate, are you an Andor fan by any chance?
Yeah, do you like that show? Next is Kyle B. Cal at Luke's Green Saber. What up, Kyle? He said pretty much just asking for the bare minimum. One.
No, I don't want to interrupt. I'm only laughing because I know Kyle is saying this in earnest, but when
He's
I
such
read
a
it,
sweet person.
my brain is like,
That's how I just read it.
I'm just expecting the bare minimum.
Yeah. No, Kyle's like the sweetest. Okay. One, a confirmation that Mando and Grogu is officially going to / has started filming. It has started filming, Kyle. It started filming, I think right before the way they scheduled it, it was right before Pedro Pascal left to go Fantastic Four in London.
They did
so they did his parts. Yeah, they did his parts with the facial stuff.
Oh,
and then
my
he shaved
God.
it for the mustache for Fantastic Four.
That means we probably get another like emotional Mando Grogu moment
because he had the full
already
beard
on film somewhere.
Yes, so he had the full beard going and the longer hair with the little curl in the back. And then at Fantastic Four, he had a shorter cut, no 5 o'clock shadow. It was more of a mustache, very clean.
Mando's gonna end in the future. He's gonna be alive, and everything's gonna be okay. He's just gonna retire.
You are very stuck that he's gonna die.
I just said he's not.
I know, but you've been saying for years that you think Mando's dying at the end of this.
Well,
journey.
that was before they started killing everybody else and all the other stuff. I think now we're good. Acolyte's like, we're killing everybody.
I used to get so mad when you'd say that because I'm like, they can't kill everyone. And like, as you've seen, they've literally killed everyone.
No, I don't want Mando to die now, but I feel like, at least it feels like Pedro is like not as into it as he was. If you compare,
seems more, I feel like he's moved on. He's looking like Millie Bobby Brown with Stranger Things. Like he's like, I've gotten married. I'm ready to move on.
He's back to calling him Baby Yoda too.
He is.
Like
he seems so uninterested.
But anyway, my point is, if he's not as into it, how are they going to keep it going? We don't think they're going back to Disney Plus after doing a movie. So I think this movie might be the end of the story of The Mandalorian.
Yeah. As Michelle says in the chat.
Not Grogu.
She's kind of shocked John didn't predict the entire skeleton crew to bite the dust.
I feel like Lacey predicts more deaths than I do, though.
No way. No, absolutely not. I'm always saying, no, they're not dying. And you're like, everyone's dying. The only person I said was dying adamantly was Master Soul. I was like, that guy's gone.
The only person I ever said that had to die was Kylo Ren.
And Mando.
I didn't say he had to die. I said there was a chance he would die.
You said he had to.
Usually those classic Westerns, and even Logan did it. Like, it happens that way in those types of stories. Lone gunslinger, doesn't care about anybody, finds somebody who gives him a heart and makes him love, and then
and Ahsoka, Michelle says.
Then he saves that person.
You're getting called out in the comments.
I didn't predict. Who did I predict was going to die in Ahsoka?
I'm pretty sure you said someone was going to die in Ahsoka.
So someone probably did.
Someone called John out. Who's he said is going to die in the past? Anyway, as Kyle continued, he said, confirmation that Mando and Grogu is officially going to / has started filming, and 2, a skeleton crew trailer and release date. we already got the release date, Kyle. I think we're going to get that trailer. Would love an update on the Rey movie or a new animated series, but I'm not expecting one. That's fair. And last but not least is that's ... the moment at Travel Agent A says, let me say this in caps as a hashtag Star Wars fan since 1977. Hashtag Disney Plus has made dozens in caps of hours of new Star Wars content since 2019. I enjoy the majority of it, but capital BUT ... we need caps and stars. The next chapter
Do you
of
need to explain
hashtag
how he typed this?
yes, hashtag Star Wars solo Star Wars story! Exclamation point star.
I agree. We do
I
need
agree.
the next chapter in Solo.
We do. We totally do.
Make Solo 2 happen.
Oh, that's Laurel. Laurel says that you said Yord was going to die.
Bingo. Merry
The
Christmas,
point is
everybody.
you sat here not even a minute ago saying, I never said anyone was going to die. And people in the comments are calling you out in like
In
3 or 4
Ahsoka.
people.
Who did I say would die in Ahsoka?
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your answers. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on social media at TRB Podcasts and stay tuned for more opportunities to give your insight and input into the world of Star Wars and into TRB. We really appreciate it. And I hope for all of your sakes, all these wonderful things you want come true. I can't promise them, but I can hope for you. And manifest, prayer circle, whatever they say online is the new hip thing. I wish it for you.
I hope everybody come just August 9th through the 11th is screaming,
Crying and throwing up.
and throwing up.
There's one thing I want people to retire. Please retire it quickly. The phrase blank wasn't on my bingo card. Can you please stop saying this? You've been saying it since 2020. It is now July of 2024. Please stop saying bingo card. Please. Thank you so much.
I'm tweeting right now.
I know you are. Are you saying something on your bingo card?
I'm writing 066 was not on my bingo card.
It just makes me
You get it?
It makes me cringe every time I see it because it's so old and it's just so clear that when people are doing it, they're only tweeting for engagement. Like they're not genuinely saying whatever they're saying. They're just saying it so they get likes.
I gotta delete that. People are gonna think I'm talking about Order 66 or something. I'm gonna do N45 was not on my bingo card.
Oh, jeez. You're the worst. All right.
I wasn't. All right. Yeah, thank you everybody for
Oh
listening.
my God.
Watching,
Frank said Lacey not
being
liking the
part of TRB.
bingo card was not on my bingo card.
Oh, and Frank's like one of your like biggest advocates and supporters. And here we go.
Frank is a great person.
I'm just saying. He's busting your chops.
It's okay.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Well, we want to thank Frank Grande is one of our generals, and we have to thank all of our generals and spice runners on Patreon. So thank you, Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, Colin Cormier, and Stephen Garrow. Stephen said he was going to try and catch us live. I think I forget what he said he was doing.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian, and all of our patrons, all of our listeners. However you take in TRB, just do us a favor, spread the word. If you have friends, coworkers, whoever who likes Star Wars, just tell them to look up Resistance Broadcast. If you have a good time with us, as we have a good time with Star Wars, then I'm sure they will too. And hanging out with people who like mutual things is also very cool. We said all the other stuff before. Make sure you're subscribed and all that. We will be with you with Nerdy and Nice on Monday morning, but then no TRB next week because we're taking a week off, and then we'll be back the following week to recap D23 and all the stuff that may or may not have been revealed that we talked about today. But for me, Johnny Hoey on X, to talk about all that, the Yankees and all the other nerdy stuff I enjoy. And that's that. And my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We're doing Good Will Hunting next. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gillerin on all the platforms, and it's Lacey Gillerin on TikTok. Also on Nerdy and Nice on Mondays, and throughout the week talking about pop culture stuff. I also do want to give a shout out to Luke_Salata_, who did comment on our Instagram live feed, which we appreciate him watching over there. Again, follow us on TRB Podcast on all platforms. And he said he hopes that What If Ray, Finn, and Poe all come out first time watching live, by the way. Thanks for joining us, Luke. I hope that for you, because I would love to see it on D23. The three sequel trilogy people back together would be great. We think it's going to be at least Finn. That's what we said earlier, but we would love to see all three. But thank you so much. And yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. So we'll be back with you in 2 weeks on TRB, and then of course Nerdy and Nice that's coming Monday. But we hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.